Good afternoon. Welcome to my podcast, Experience, Strength, and Hope. My name is Barbara Butler, and I'm sitting here with Kim Shaw, and we're going to talk about experience, strength, and hope dealing with the loss of a child in her day-to-day journey. The reason that I started this podcast is because I wanted to assist others to overcome life-changing situations that they deal with day to day. So I want to talk to you a little bit. I want to share with you a little bit about Kim, and she's going to elaborate a little bit on her story. The first thing I want to share with you about Kim is that she's a DC firefighter. She's an emergency medical technician. She's been married to her husband for 30 years. They've been together for 35 years. Together, they have 6 children, and they have had their share of loss. And this is why I wanted Kim to have a conversation with you guys on how she deals with it day to day. Kim, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, so I'm Kim Shaw. She basically hit it on the nose that I'm a firefighter and I'm a mother and I'm a wife of 30 years. Basically just getting straight to the point, me and my husband, we had 6 children together. We had a loss of a newborn in November of 1993. Actually, I had 2 sons when he came in the picture. That was our first daughter together, our first child together. And at my 9th month, I went to the doctor and they said she wasn't moving and that her heart had stopped. And I stayed in the hospital about 2 days for them to induce my labor. She was full term, but she was stillborn. And that was the first loss of something that's significant in my life. That was very hard. It was very hard. It was my husband's first child. It was my first daughter. And it came to a point where I kind of was angry with my husband. I didn't feel as though he was grieving the way I wanted him to grieve. And my mom had to have a talk with me and explain that everybody don't grieve the same way. That doesn't mean that he's not hurting. But I wanted him to fall in a hole. I wanted him to be kicking and screaming like I was. I felt like I went home empty-handed. It was just a great loss. It was something I never experienced. We had to have a funeral for her and everything. So then in 1996, got pregnant again, had twins. In my 6th month, close to my 7th month, went to the doctor, told him that I didn't feel the babies kicking, and come to find out one of them had passed away. So from that experience, I had to carry both twins, one deceased, one living, for 3 more months. Close to 3 more months. I stayed in the hospital. They kept me. They wouldn't allow me to go to the bathroom. They wouldn't allow me to take a shower. They wouldn't allow me to do anything for the first month. I had to stay bedridden. I had to stay on a monitor at all times to monitor her heartbeat. And I wound up having AFib. Anybody know what that means? That means that your heart rate is at an abnormal beat and it's extremely fast. A regular heartbeat is maybe like 100 to 120 for adults. My heart rate was 275. So at that point, my heart was not beating. It was just actually quivering. And they had to do a cardiac thump. Hit me in my chest twice. It didn't knock it back to the correct rhythm. Then they gave me all type of medication. They rushed me up the ICU. I had to have cardiac doctors there, labor and delivery doctors there, pediatric doctors there. And finally, they got someone to send me the medicine from Baltimore. And I converted back over and stayed in ICU for 2 days and wound up having our oldest daughter, which is Janae. So after we had Janae, I kind of didn't mourn for my other daughter that I lost, the twin, Monet, because at that time, I went home with a baby. The first time I went home empty-handed. So I felt like I kind of didn't have a loss because I actually had a baby in my hand. So after that, just keep getting pregnant, huh? So acting like I'm a rabbit. 1998, I became pregnant with our youngest daughter, Yearning. And I was so disturbed with that I wanted to have an abortion. And my husband was like, no, I guess he thought abortion wasn't for married people. He was like, we married. I was like, that has nothing to do with it. I lost 2 kids. I can't go through that again.
So that's what you was scared that you could lose this one.
Oh, and let me go back. So our first daughter I lost, Kim Yana, her umbilical cord, what happened was it had a true knot in it. Usually a umbilical cord have a knot in it, but they call this a true knot where it just actually tightened all the way. As she got bigger, it got tighter and tighter. So my doctor told me this happened 1 in a million. He said he never had it before. As long as he deliver baby, grieve and, get pregnant again. It'll be okay. With the second twin, the same thing happened. A true knot. So I was so afraid because it wasn't nothing medically really wrong to have another baby. So we wound up and we had Gianni. And she's 25. And Janae, which is the twin, she's 27. So there was 2 losses of babies I experienced. So now we have 4 children. We had the 2 boys and the 2 girls. Life is good. And in, I want to say 2018 or 2019, our oldest son, he got shot. And he was paralyzed from the waist down. But he didn't live his life like he was paralyzed. He still drove a car. He still, but he was truly paralyzed. How he drove a car, I can't explain. He just one of them people that you can't tell him that he cannot do. So, we experienced that with 3 years. And then one day I got a phone call in the middle of the night while I was working, because I worked 24 hours. So about 2 in the morning, his girlfriend called my phone and she said, Miss Kim, I need help. And I said, help with what? And she said, I need help with Daryl. He's in trouble. And I said, what's wrong? She said, I don't know. He turned purple. So I jumped out. At that time I was in the bed at work. I jumped out of the bed and I said, hold on for 1 second. I ran in the locker room and I said, is my son, I don't know why I said it. I said, is my son dead? And she said, I don't know. I said, did you call 911? She said, yes, they here. I said, are they doing CPR on my son? She said, hold on. She said, are y'all doing CPR? They said, yes. I just screamed. I said, I'm on my way. Tell them that's firefighter Kim Shaw's son, and she's on the way. I got off the phone. I called my husband. I said, they doing CPR on Daryl in Marlboro Plaza. Need to get there. So I was coming from all the way by the zoo, and I had to go to Southeast. I actually drove so fast that me and my husband arrived almost at the same time. He was only 10 minutes away. And by that time, they had him in the ambulance, and the supervisor was explaining to me everything was going on. And I was like, well, what's the cause of death? You think it's a fentanyl overdose? Because I know he smoked weed. And he was like, I'm unsure. He said, didn't appear to be. So we went to GW, and when I walked to the door where he was, I heard his voice say, Mom, I'm gone. Oh, God. So I went on in there anyway, and I cried and I grieved, and me and Pee Wee was crying, and they had him on the ventilator, and his heart rate started dropping. It got down to like 15 or 30. I walked out. I don't think my husband or nobody knew what was going on other than the nurse, and she called me back. She said, come back. His heart rate went back up. She said, we're going to take him up to ICU. So went up to ICU. We stayed, because that was like, now I think it's like 6 in the morning. And we stayed there all day. And then they, I don't know what they did. But we went home and we came back the next day and they said it's a possibility that he's brain dead. That they don't know how long he was not breathing. So I said, what do we do to test that? I didn't want to take the responsibility of taking him off the ventilator. And they said, well, we do a test. We do a series of tests to see if he's brain dead. And I said, okay. So we came back up there and we did the test. And he failed all the tests. They put water in his ears. They said that's a test. They touched his eyeballs. They squeezed his hands. They squeezed his toenails. They did several things, and then they finally took him off the vent and see if he would attempt to take a breath. So I think they take him off the vent for like 3 to 5 minutes. That was the longest minutes ever. And then they put him back on, and then they told me he failed all the tests. Me and my husband were just standing there. And I was like, okay. But I'm looking at him. His skin is good. He just looked asleep on the vent. And then she looked up at the clock and she said, time of death, such and such. And I was like, really? She said, my son dead? Now I'm in the medical field, been in the medical field for about 27 years. And I'm like, so she said my son dead? That is a hard pill to swallow when someone say someone is dead and you looking at them breathing and you watching their heartbeat. So I had my moment, me and Pee Wee. I just couldn't believe it. Then immediately they was like, someone's going to come and talk to you. So the lady came in and she said she was with the donation of life. And then I wanted to donate his organs. I said, well, that's nothing I ever talked with my son about. And she was like, well, everything is functioning on him. We'll give you time to think about it. So I said, no, I don't want time. I can talk to you now. So we go in the room and she give you a list of things. You can donate their eyes, their skin, a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, no, I just want to donate the main organs. And so it seemed like I didn't get a chance to grieve from I'm still thinking about that doctor saying the time of death is. But I want to proceed. I don't want to prolong because I just don't want my mind to be sitting and wondering. I want to put my son away. I don't want to hold on to hope that's not there. I don't want to put in my head that he's alive and he's not. And so then they ask you, do you have family members, church members, anybody you know that need organs that's already on the list? They had to be on the list. And so we went through that process. And then when that was over, then they say, well, he had to be on the vent for a couple of days because they got to do surgery, and that I can continue to come up the hospital and visit. I said, I can't do that. If he's dead, I have to put in my mind he's dead. If I come up here every day and watch him, I'm going to drive myself crazy. I can't do it. So I didn't tell nobody that my son was on the vent. I just told all my family and friends that he had passed away that day. We went up to the hospital and he passed away. When in reality, he was still on the vent for like 2 to 3 days. That made me so nervous every day. I was just sick about that. I was sick and concerned about his surgery. And I'm like, why am I concerned about somebody who can't feel? I felt the same way as if he was alive and he was going to surgery. He was concerned if he's going to die in surgery, he's going to be okay in surgery. That's the feeling I had. And I didn't like that. That was just very hard to do. And then the day he was supposed to have surgery, he didn't have the surgery. because DC had a lot of trauma that day, gunshots, and the hospital was full, backed up with surgeries. That worried me to death. I was so concerned about my son's body, about him being dead, about them cutting on him. It just worried me. I was so glad when they called and told me it was over. Then I thought it was over. Then they called me back and said the medical examiner wanted him to come to the medical examiner office over in Southeast. I said, okay. That worried me. Then they released him in 24 hours and said the cause of death was due to the blood clot. So we finally got a chance to bury him. But I know how I feel when people say they don't want to go to their loved one's funeral. I never thought I'd feel that way. I woke up that morning, I said, I'm not going. I'm not going, I'm not going, I'm not going. And people said, come on, you got to go. I was like, nah, I don't have to go. I'm not going, I'm not going. So I went to go use the bathroom. My son spoke to me again. He said, Mom, I'm waiting on you. I said, yeah. So we got dressed and we went and we put our oldest son away. He left behind 2 twin daughters. He left behind a 19-year-old son who shares the same birthday he has.
Okay, so I guess I just have a couple questions for you from hearing what you just shared with us. Like, how have things been for you and your family, like today, like now?
It's such an empty hole. Just this morning, me and my husband received good news. A big celebration is about to happen in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just cried. I was like, this is crazy. We're going to celebrate this without Daryl and my mother, especially Daryl. You know, he loved his sisters. And I just can't believe that we have this life now without him.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like I'm in a good place due to only to the glory of God. I believe that he has granted me peace.
Mm-hmm.
I am at peace. I'm sad, but I'm truly, I just feel peace. I feel peace in my heart. But it is just so hard. Even when I talk to the kids, my daughter, she got clothes all over the room. And I told her, I said, you better talk to Daryl and Vontae. For when they used to leave clothes in the room, I threw away all their clothes and left them. Left them 10 pants a piece and 10 shirts a piece. And we just found ourselves still saying Daryl's name like he's here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been hard on us.
Mm-hmm.
We sad, but I do think we're doing good, but we sad. And then another thing I want to throw in there real quick. I don't think I gave my husband a chance to grieve.
Mm.
We lost Daryl in April. We lost his brother in February. And he was still grieving from that. And then our son died. And in the midst of that, he had to take care of me and the girls. And take care of Daryl's kids' mourning. And I don't think I gave him the chance to grieve.
Mm.
But I don't know how. I don't know how not to lean on him.
Right.
I don't know how.
So, can you tell me a little bit about Daryl?
Daryl was a crazy. Daryl was crazy from the womb. Daryl was such an active child. He was one of them self-taught people. Mm-hmm. Daryl taught himself how to swim. He just jumped in the pool. He swam. He got on skis. He skied. You put him in any sports you put him in, he played. He was one of them people you never had to teach. He got on a dirt bike and he just drove it. He loved dirt bikes. He loved dirt bikes to the end. He actually, when he got shot, he was riding a dirt bike. People in the car were shooting at him, and he was on a dirt bike then. His termination, when the person told me when they picked him up, they he was on the ground crawling on his elbows trying to get away. He was like, "Mom, I couldn't stay there and just let somebody just shoot at me." And he been like that all his life. He just had determination. The boy was actually paralyzed. They took his nerves out of his back and they put a metal plate in that space. And the doctor said that's the reason he'd never walk. He went to physical therapy. He was walking on a walker. He drove a car with a stick. He he did everything that people say he wasn't gonna do. He just always been a very determined person.
And maybe just wanted to prove them wrong for what they said that he couldn't do.
And for some reason, he loved Bishop. Bishop, fast old. No matter what, it can be 2 a.m. He'll call me and say, "Mom, where's Bishop?" And I say, "You're not calling that man. You're not." He said, "Okay, I promise. I'll call him tomorrow." And he remind me of Bishop a lot because they are just so determined people, and they act like the ADHD just all over the place. But in their mind, they got it all together, and it works out for the best of them. But he remind me of Bishop so much, and he really loved Bishop. And he, towards the end of his life, I would say the last 5 years, he really loved God.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So I'm always curious. Like, people used to say it to me when my dad passed away, like, that it was their time to go and God took them. They're trying to comfort you. How do you feel when people say that? Or what do you think the best things people should say when someone loses someone? Because to me, that didn't always comfort me once they say he's in a better place. Because he might be in a better place, but I still wanted him here with me.
I think that's one of the worst things you can say to somebody in the immediate moment.
Right.
In the immediate moment, I think that's... he's in a better place. He resting now. He had peace. You know all that if you know God.
Right.
But that's not a good thing to tell someone who just lost their loved one. I think the best thing you can do is just listen to them and just be there. Just show up. You don't have to talk. I like to show up for people. I just like to show up. If they want to talk, they want to talk. Sometimes I like to break the ice and say something funny. But I never tell people they're in a better place. God knew best. And I don't like that. I don't like that.
So have you sought any type of counseling or anything to help you like deal with the grief and your emotions or how you're feeling?
No. But I am.
Okay.
I am. I know I need to. That was a rough year for us. Like I said, I lost my brother-in-law 2 months prior, but within a year time period, we lost like 10 people, and most of them was like my son's cousins, and his cousins and his aunts and uncles, and it just seemed like I'm suppressing it. It seemed like I'm moving in the motion, but something need to be done. Something need to be done other than me. I know God. I tell you, I know God. He's been there for me like no other. I would know I couldn't make it without him, but I know I need something else. I need God to lead me in the right direction, to talk to the right people clinically.
Right. So I know recently too that you lost your dad.
Oh yeah.
So with the loss of your son, then your brother-in-law, and then your dad, sometimes I would see you and I still saw you like pushing through. And I was like, Kim is a strong person to be able to deal with all the loss that she has. And still, you were still showing up to church. You were still serving in church. You were still showing up for people. And I just didn't know how you were able to function like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, I knew that you were probably praying a lot to help you get through the day to day?
Yeah. I don't even have an answer for that. That's just how I know God is real. Because I am really hurting. And when my father was a little different, because I saw him sick. So I knew that this time would come. But it don't take away, it don't make it more easier. The hurt is still strong. And I had to take care of him. Even after, like you said, after all the deaths, I had to still take care of him. He refused for anybody else to take care of him. And
I used to love the videos you used to do with your dad.
my
Yeah,
dad
you got
was
your
so
little
crazy.
sidekick. I used to.
That's my sidekick.
I used to always be like, Kim's live. Kim's live. Kim's with her
my
dad. She's
sidekick.
live.
Yes, indeed. He was such a strong man, and he didn't believe he was dying. He didn't want to hear that. And I used to try to explain to him that his condition was uncurable, and he was getting worse. And I'm the type of person I like to talk about death. And he didn't want to hear it. So it made it hard on me. Made it hard on me, Kenny Brown, but yeah.
Okay, I just want to just say anybody that could be dealing with the loss of a loved one, we're not professionals by any far. We're just sharing our different experience with you. If you are dealing with the loss of a loved one, you should seek some type of support group or some type of medical professional to help you with your loss.
And I also wanted to say, so this is a letter that I got from the donors. And that's my son. I put that picture of him because that's his body showing what he donated.
Can you read a little bit of the letter?
Yeah, so one of Daryl persons received his left kidney, is married. He's a gentleman in his early 30s. Prior to receiving this transplant, he endured deliberating, the light.
Okay. I can't see you.
So he had an illness that affected his heart and his kidneys. After receiving his loved one's life-saving gift, he enjoyed playing videos, board games, watching videos, movies, and this was a generous donation to this man, and he's been restored to his loved ones.
Wow.
And then his liver was transplanted into a woman in her 50s. She was married and had 5 children and 2 grandchildren. This woman previously had suffered from an illness that affected her liver. She had been awaiting for a transplant since March 2022. And her transplant was successful. And then Daryl gifted his lungs to a 60-year-old with 3 children. And he's doing well, too. I just recently received a letter from him. His name is Ron. And it was so touching because he said he breathed from a stranger. So I hope one day I get to meet all these people. And just if I can have some sense of my son.
Right. Okay, God, I just want to thank you for sharing your story.
You.
I think it's going to impact or help other people deal with their loss or have somewhere to start to understand the feelings and the different emotions that they're having at this time.
Yeah, make sure you talk to somebody. Talk to your friends. Don't take the negativity and just try to think positive. Cry when you have to. Don't let nobody tell you that get over it. You shouldn't cry anymore. They tired of hearing you talking about it. Then talk to yourself. Talk to someone who want to listen. Don't let nobody discourage you about your loved ones.